So guys, we're gonna start now the last section. All those lessons are about solve quadratic equation. Okay, so I combined in one PowerPoint and I will make it part by part. And there is nothing called lesson 4.3, 4.4, 4.5. I will just take from the lessons the exercises. So I just want you to focus with me in the first PowerPoint how to solve a quadratic equation. When I see the word solve, it means I need to find the values, that the value of x that makes my quadratic equation equal to 0. And I need to find for which value of x I will have an answer 0 if I replace. So the first thing that you need to put in your mind, so a quadratic equation, we know that it has the form ax squared plus bx plus c, with a not equal to 0. To solve a quadratic equation, I cannot solve it like this. I cannot find if it's like this, what for which value of x this one it will be 0. So it should be factorized. What does it mean factorized? Yani it should be written as a multiplication or as a product of factors. If it is possible, sometimes it's impossible to factorize and impossible to find the roots. So what does it mean factorize? And I can see it in this form, parentheses. And already you saw this form, guys, and we called it in the preceding chapter the x-intercept. And I told you to solve this one equal to 0, I need to take each parenthesis equal to 0. So we're going to start with the first case, how we can solve a quadratic equation equal to 0, because we have many forms and we saw different forms of quadratic equation. We saw this one, for example, we saw this one, we saw the vertex form, we saw many forms. So first one, how do we factorize a quadratic equation? Sometimes the first one, it could be given factorized. So when it's factorized, so it's very easy to solve it like, and it means it is in the x-intercept form. So when I have a product equal to 0, and it means you are multiplying something times another expression equal to 0. When it will be 0, if the pink, for example, this one gives me 0, I will have 0 times any number 0, or the other one. So anytime I need to solve an equation equal to 0, if it's given factorized like this one in the form of a times b or parentheses, multiplication of two parentheses, okay, so we're gonna solve each one equal to 0 like we were doing to find the x-intercept. But here I need to take my time solving this one, and there is a 4 here. So 4t plus 1 equal to 0 gives me 4t equal minus 1, it means t equal minus 1 over 4, or 3t minus 5 equal to 0 gives me t is equal 5 over 3. And guys, if you want to check your work here, if you replace t by minus 1 over 4 here, it could be x or t or m or anything, you're going to have 0 times any number, it gives me 0. Or if I replace t by 5 over 3, I'm going to have here a number times 0, it gives me 0. It means t minus 1 over 4 and t 4 over 3 are the solution for this equation. It means if I replace t by one of those two, it gives me the answer 0. So this is my solution. You can write it like this, or you can just write t is equal minus 1 over 4 or t is equal 5 over 3. We're going to give you another example. I'll give you another example. If I look at this one, this is a multiplication. This is a product of two factors. We call it factorized because I have a factor times another factor. This one here, we call it, it's a factor. Hey, guys, it's a factor. This is another factor. It's as I'm doing a number times another number, a parenthesis times another one. So this one will give me 0 if I have one of my, so one of the factors is equal to 0. So I will have, sorry guys, okay, I will have, it will give me x plus 1 equal to 0 gives me x equal minus 1 or x equal 5. If you replace, guys, let's replace minus 1 plus 1 gives me 0. 0 times minus 6 gives me 0. If I replace x by 5, it will give me 5 plus 1, 6. 6 times 0, it gives me 0. So my solutions are minus 1 and 5. It means if I replace x by minus 1 or by 5, the answer will be 0. So here it's given factorized. So that when the quadratic equation, when my equation is given in the factorized form, it's very easy to solve it equal to 0. It's very easy to find which values make my expression equal to 0. Now, sometimes it's not factorized. When we have a big issue, because we have many cases to think about. Today in the video, we will just talk about if it is an identity. So you're gonna start thinking about that when I identity or a visible factor, two things. So first I look at it and I check how many terms I have. So if the quadratic equation given is not factorized, we need to factorize it to be able to solve it. So today we'll learn in the video two ways to factorize. First, I said here you can have different kind of quadratic equation and different method to factorize. So let's start here by A. يعني هنعمل today A and B. A visible factor. First, what do you need to do? You look at my equation here. You look at how many terms you have. I have one term, two terms. All the time, my terms are separated by plus or minus. So I have x squared plus 7x. Visible factor, it means, can I see something in common between those two? So my first case, all the time I will ask myself this question. When I look at it, can I see something visible? Can I see something in common between those two? Yes, I can see it. I have x squared, it means it's x times x. 7x, so I have x in common. I can see it. I have my x in common. So what is my factor here? My factor is x. So I will do x factor of, if I take x as a common factor, what I still have from the first term, I still have x, plus from my second term, 7. So now I factorize it. Now it's factorized, so I can solve it equal to 0. It's easy now. So I can now solve it equal. I have it in the form of A times B. Do you see it? X times x plus 7. And هنا x plus 0 times x plus 7. So it gives me x equal to 0 or x plus 7 equal to 0. And then I will have the two roots, 0 and minus 7. I will repeat again. I will look at it. I have x squared plus 7x. I have two terms, 1 and 2. How I can see my terms? They are separated by a sign plus or minus. It means I have x times x plus 7x. What do we have in common here? Visible. I have x and x. So x factor, what I still have from the first term, x plus 7. To solve it equal to 0, finish. I have it factorized and I'm back to the first part. I have or this one is equal to 0 or this one is equal to 0. It gives me 0 or minus 7. So now if I will replace x by 0. I will have 0 plus 7 times 0, 0. It gives me 0. If I replace x by minus 7, I will have minus 7 squared. It's 49. Minus 49 gives me 0. So what I did is right. Okay. Let's start now. Let's do another example. So my solution are 0 and minus 7. Let's do another example. Again, I can see here two terms, 2x squared minus 3x. What is something in common? What do we have the visible factor here? It's x. So I have x factor. What I still have from the first one. Look, guys, if you feel lost, write it like this. And it means I have 2 times x. If I took x and x as a common factor, what I still have here? 2x minus 3. So now it's factorized, so it's very simple now to solve it. So I'm gonna solve it. I will have x equal to 0 or 2x minus 3 equal to 0. So it gives me x0 and x equal to 3 over 2. So every time I need to solve equal to 0, I need to think about factorize. It should be factorized. Yani product of factor, and it should be in this form, parentheses times parentheses. Here, okay, yeah, it means it's x plus 0 times 2x minus 3, and it should be in the x-intercept form. If it's not like this, I need to do it. So I will start asking myself the first question. Can I see something in common? Can I see a visible factor to factorize it? If yes, I will factorize it. The miss, I cannot see. No, there is not a visible factor. Here I will pass to my second question. Is it an identity? So the first question, visible factor. If there is a visible factor, I factorize. If no, I will go to the second question, the identities that I will do it today in the video. And those are my identities. I have 3 identities. I need to memorize it very well. I have this part here. We call it the developed form. And this part here, the other one, we call it the factorized. This one is the developed form. And this one is the factorized. What you will be given, what you're gonna do, the green will be given, you will reach the pink. We're gonna do many application with me in the class, don't worry. This is the factorized. So for the identities, we're gonna work too much together as a classwork. The preceding one is very easy. So I can see a squared minus b squared. I will move to factorize it. Or I can see a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. I will factorize by doing a plus b squared. Or I can see a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. I can move it to factorize. Already into, the inverse step, and a plus b squared, a squared plus 2ab plus e plus b squared. You know the developed one. If I develop this one, it gives me this answer. Now we need to go opposite. We don't need to factorize. So those are my identities, and I will use those identities to be able to factorize. Here, look, I can see two parentheses. When I write a plus b squared, it means it's a plus b times itself, yani times a plus b, so it's factorized. Yes, two factors. And this one also, it's a minus b times a minus b. Yes, it is factorized. It's a product of two factors. Okay, I'll try to do an example. If I couldn't record it all, we're gonna do it all in the session. It's the big deal. So let's start to do an example, if it's possible. Okay, I have those two. If I look at this one here, I can see that I have two terms, x squared and minus 9. And as I told you, I will ask myself, can I see something in common? No, this is x squared, this is 9. Does this one remind me of any identity? Yes, because this one reminds me of a squared minus b squared, because 9 is 3 squared. This one reminds me of a squared minus 3 squared. I need to memorize the identities. A squared minus b squared gives me a minus b, a plus b. So when I see two terms, squared and squared, so it's a minus b, a plus b. So it will be x minus 3, x plus 3 equal to 0. So now I'm back to the preceding case. It's factorized. Very good. So I'm going to solve each one equal to 0. X minus 3 equal to 0, or x plus 3 equal to 0. So it gives me x equal 3, or x is equal minus 3. So if I replace x by 3, let's try it. 3 squared 9. 9 minus 9, 0. Minus 3 squared 9 minus 9, 0. The second one. Two terms. Do we have anything in common? No. X squared and 4. It reminds me of a squared minus b squared. It's the same like the preceding one. This is x squared minus 2 squared. So it will be x minus 2 and x plus 2 equal to 0. It means this one, I will solve it equal to 0. X minus 2 equal to 0. X is equal to 2. Or x plus 2 is equal to 0, x is equal minus 2. I will stop here, guys. I will not move to the next two identities. We will do it together in the class, okay? I just stop here, and then we're going to do the next parts in the class. Trying just to stop the recording. افتكر سطرنا